Hey y'all. My name's Gypsee Yo and I'm from Atlanta. Well, I'm actually from Albania. And I've lived in the United States for the last 10 years. So this first poem I'm going to do is about where I come from and why I left, sort of. So. 8 a.m. and there's a woman cursing outside aloud. Her raspy voice is slapped back and forth on the porous skin of tall concrete buildings, leaning on each other for fear of a conjuring, closing in on her in the timid courtyard where she stands, erected anger, echoing desperation, clutching on to the impossible life in her womb. Something like, a plague on both your houses, except that violent and less poetic. She, a beggar, cold and aggravated, is spit on the door shut to her anger, because poverty is way too common here and not at all romantic. The primitive joy of living lost inside the complicated confusion of not knowing why be here. In a country where, on the other hand, the most common of cars are Mercedes-Benz. And everybody seems to own one, in the same model, color, and size, and they swarm like bees in the main boulevards in chaotic buzzing patterns, ignoring red lights and street signs, causing the poor and the beggars to be squished on the windshields like fireflies, their lights extinguished fast in massive choir unison elegies crushed beneath the constant drilling noise of construction, piercing the veins of a country overdosing on growth hormone. Because paradox is the governing system, classically displayed in the herds of high school girls, all skipping school, all sporting $200 milky white boots that climb up to their knees, shelling inside their tight jeans, that put on Amazonian defiance as they sway and flirt in bold walks in thick mud roads, but they don't care. They know that this is their power, that beauty's for little seasons, so they want to make the most of it before it's all gone, before their names become tombs of nameless soldiers in the patriarchal arrangement of a country caught in between socio-political systems. Because definitions are a tricky thing to try and pin down when good girls dress up like prostitutes and the whores wear the names of good girls. Intellectual pearls are thrown to the swine while mediocrity shine. Integrity is trampled underfoot while greed is justified and good. And new blood money rules, bringing into power by popular vote the same man that was overthrown by popular revolution, who in turn is shoving out of the country the heart and the brain, forcing us into alienated two-tongued existences. And some of us, we find refuge behind a open mic somewhere, but stray dogs in Albania, where humbly on their faces human expressions of sufferings as they lay subdued in the cold concrete, catching the sun's teeth on their neck, fearing the casual cruelty of bored kids whose favorite pastime they are, scarred and maimed by their desire to imitate the imposition of power that they observe in the adults. Because the theory that kids who are cruel to animals grow up to be dictators and murderers bears absolutely no relevance in a country where random acts of violence are daily routine and the government systematically blows up the headquarters of the opposition's newspaper simply for doing its job. A right supposedly protected by the Constitution, except that this morning the entire stock of the paper lays in the cold concrete next to the stray dogs catching the sun's teeth on their neck as the obnoxious beggar takes away as much as she can carry to cover her shoulders and the frozen life inside her belly as her raspy voice is slapped back and forth on the porous skin of tall concrete buildings, scraping her desperation like sandpaper. A plague! A plague on both your houses! All right, got my idiot sheet here. That's what Johnny Cash called it. Not that I think I'm that cool, but girl can dream. So in 2005, I went back to my native country for the first time during the winter. Like, I had gone back before, but I'd never gone back during the winter time. And then I remember why. So this is a poem about that. Christmas 2005. As soon as I landed on my soil, I was reminded as to why it took me 8 years to return to this winter. It's cold in Albania. So cold that the words freeze on your breath and morbidly fall to the ground, thunk, thunk, like dead birds who hesitated migration. On Christmas Eve, the stars are brightly shining. There's a power outage. And the outlines of the neighborhood cling to the backdrop of the sky in edges of gray, while the stars are just holes that leak heat, pierced to the tapestry of the sky by random shots of boredom and AK-47s, just to remind us that there's light in the eternal abode of our neighbors. My brother and I sit out on the porch, because it's colder inside. At least out here we can see the stars and dream of the rapture, contemplating the universe like the ancient patriarchs on furlough from pilgrimage wrapped up in sheepskin. Our silences grow more and more eloquent. There was a time the only way we knew how to love each other was to battle words and wrestle just a hug aloud. I used to be stubborn and proud, and he resented me for leaving until he came of age and learned that staying was never an option. Now my brother and I stand on common ground. Our country aches, and we miss it like a limb lost in the battlefield that somehow we can still feel itching. The neighborhood has shrunk. The boy down the hall grew up to marry a German girl. They have a 3-year-old who does not speak Albanian. His grandmother weeps on the phone, not knowing how to say to him she loves him. The juvenile delinquent brothers of the 3rd floor, one of which jumped me in the stairwell just to fill me up my junior year, they both died during a drug bust in Italy in a car wreck. I write more and more in English, less and less in Albanian. My brother lives in Prague and hits on girls in Czech. Most of the kids we grew up with are gone abroad, while the ones that hesitated migration lay silently under the cold ground, dreaming of the heat leaking from the stars that they never got to feel on this other side. My brother and I hold quietly the secret that these stars are just dead planets burning in their own elusive dreams. So my husband and I went back in the winter of 2005 to visit, and I came back right before, what was it, Pagan and Naked?
Yeah, naked pagan.
Like that thing, whatever he said, which was New Year's Eve 2005. I wasn't aware at the time that I brought a little souvenir with me, so this poem is about my souvenir. To my daughter Emma, the first time I felt you move, like time, like a spiral staircase in the eye of the storm, I stood still and listened in the dark to a peculiar thing. 10 inches above my belly button there's a heartbeat. 5 inches below there's another heart, tied up to my belly button by a cord of hope, my first child. Sweet daughter of mine, you come from a long line of against all odds. You were conceived on your grandparents' bed in our old country, Albania, at a time when wars had ceased to be fought, but the wounds still oozed dark blood beneath the cracked foundations of pyramid scheme hopes. And your father and I, we took a brief flight back to be reminded of what hurts us, what was lost. It was a cold and bitter winter, and one night there was no electricity nor heat, so your father and I went to bed early, and we sparked like stones striking against stone until the flame burst into light, and we rested content in that heat that unraveled from our souls and cocooned into you. By the time I flew back to the States, my womb was the size of a grapefruit, so I smuggled you in through customs like a rare and precious seed, carefully tucked in the pink folds of my flesh. I came home and took a home pregnancy test. It said to wait 3 minutes, but I had no watch, so I spoke a slam poem to my image in the mirror. While waiting for the scarlet thread of hope to appear in that little plastic window, and when it did, I believed in God and grace, for you are not what I deserved for my past, and it is a peculiar thing to have wrestled with words all the days of my existence and to suddenly find rest in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye as you move like time, tied up and carved out of my womb a poem of flesh and bones, perfectly woven in 2 tongues, with nothing lacking in context, no language barriers to overcome, a manifesto and a sonnet, an anthem and a psalm. Sweet daughter of mine, I pray you live a life of words well kept and truths unbroken. Earn a name that is not misspelled nor misspoken. Love all souls the same and owe nothing to none. Know its power, but never use a gun. Judge people like a blind man by the shape of their speech. Then smile to the ones with accents, for they are your kin. Pilgrims and strangers in a world unworthy of them. They were all once just like you, citizens of the womb. So never despise hands that work and brows that sweat. To the orphan, be a sister. To the widow, be a daughter. Speak up for who does not speak English. Stand up for the weak in the playground. Be blind to fear, bold to shine. May your lip quiver at the sight of beauty, but your eye not blink at the face of tyranny. May your anger be barren, but your grace abound. Pray when you lack wisdom. Sing when you're afraid. Love at all costs. Listen to prophets and poets. Love books and beauty. Abhor evil and lies always. Remember the wonder of being a child. And then open the door when God knocks in your heart. When in doubt, the blood will lead you home. You trust in it, baby. And you stand approved before the righteous throne. Live for what matters. Die for what is right. Be a poem that all aspire to write. Be a poem that all will know by heart when you are gone and your 3 minutes are up. So she's about 2 years and 3 months now. She fixed my necklace. She did. And so when I had her, I had all these poets, like Brian Patil in the house right here. And all these local poets called me and said, I'm sure you're writing all this incredible new stuff. And I'm like, no, I can't take showers. There's stuff leaking all over the place. Yeah, so no new poems. But this kept happening, you know, consistently. So I felt bad. So I wrote this poem as an apology about not having new poems. This is called Why a Poem Has to Wait. Because at 3 a.m., a diaper change has seniority over poetry. Though the muse is combusting in my throat and words eject themselves out of my brain cells and free fall heavy like milk in my bra, the baby is screaming. And my husband over there rolls over to the other side like he's not listening. Everybody look at him. Yeah, because he has to go to work tomorrow. He can't be late anymore, so a poem has to wait. By noon, I'm trying to take the trash out while the poem is biting at my heels like a yappy dog. Write about environmental concerns. Write about deforestation. Write about the drought in Sudan. Write about 3 million Albanians with no electricity all winter long because last summer it did not rain, but I gotta take the trash out. And the pot screaming on the stove while the UPS man is at the front door, so I answer with my breast hanging out like a pear half an hour after the baby's done nursing, but he acts like he doesn't notice and I act like I don't care while the poem is still waiting. I keep tripping over untied verses like laces of shoes abandoned on the floor. They are eager to run but unable to because no feet inhabit them. They can't go anywhere alone. Read about 300 people dead before lunch break in Baghdad. Read about the link between autism and early childhood vaccination. Read about the fact that no adult has called my cell phone in the last 3 days, but I'm too busy doing chores, so a poem has to wait because by 5 p.m. I don't remember what did I do with that coupon. Read about single mothers on welfare. Where's my grocery list? Read about children growing up on food stamps. Where did I stash my grandmothers? Read about the death of women's lib. Where are the letters of my secret admirers and my self-esteem? Read about stay-at-home moms being taken for granted. Stay-at-home moms being judged to lack in identity and interests. Read about ambitions on the back burner of chores. Dreams on the backseat of a van driven by duty. Read about a woman at the brink of losing her freaking mind, but I can't. Because I am a woman at the brink of losing my freaking mind. So a poem has to wait. Because by midnight my head is drooping with dreams while I nurse. Read about the homeless, their hair dripping rain, and my baby has a smile on her face that could pry open hearts. Read about the orphans, dreaming in wonder what a mother smells like, and the odor of this moment on my linen is full and ripe like life. In this moment, I am blessed because this moment is poetry at its best. But the poem yawns exhausted. Her eyelids are sinking shut. So I curl her up in my bosom next to the baby and rock them both to sleep. I kiss the poem on the forehead gently and whisper in her dreams, "I'm sorry, sweetheart. Mama loves you too. I promise. You will wake up on a page tomorrow." So, in the spoken word slam community, there are certain lines that are notoriously abused. Like we all know why a caged bird sings. And in the beginning is always the word, because we're spoken word. So, so I thought, how interesting it would be if I wrote a poem that incorporated a line like that, but maybe not suck. So this is what I came up with. If it sucks, don't let me know, please. I have a fragile ego. But this is my attempt at that. This is called Universe is a Love Poem. The universe is a love poem, spoken by God without regard to time or audience. Now, of course, I wasn't there for the premiere, but I imagine it went down something like this. In the beginning was the word, and the word was love. The word was imagination, creativity, purpose. The word was intelligent design, architect, foundation, and cornerstone. In the beginning was the word, and the word was light. And the word said, "Let there be light." And the word saw that the light was good, and the word said, "Word." In the beginning was the word, and the word was sound. Vowels and consonants coupled with each other, tangoing in passionate codependence, and with every step giving birth to time and space, backed up by stars, moons, planets in their circled orbs, sweating rain in perfect choreography, staring at their bodies in motion on the ocean's mirror. And the word was rhythm, the word was beat, the word was heartbeat, pulse, and breath. A symphony of punctuation played out to perfection. Like a woman is a consonant, a man is a vowel, a kiss a semicolon, bringing together two entities perfectly capable of standing on their own, who no longer wish to. They'd rather lie next to each other underneath a tin roof, listen to the rain dripping commas down the window pane, because even pauses are poetry when another heart is listening. Watching clouds pillow fighting, exclamation in the lightning as new sounds are discovered under covers. Vowels and consonants coupled with each other, braiding sentences of DNA woven and spun into paragraphs of genealogies to come, where love is both a verb and a noun, running tirelessly in present continuous tense, the length of days in between the brackets of dusk and dawn. A symphony of punctuation played out to perfection like the spine of a willow, curled into a question mark as it stares at some reflection in the water. The same instant that my neighbor's 9-year-old daughter looks at her face in the mirror and asks her father, "Daddy, am I pretty?" And the wind combs the willow's hair as her father's hand gently lands an apostrophe on her shoulder, saying, "You are Daddy's perfect treasure." And the gesture grows her wings into hyperboles, slams shut like a period the door to her insecurities, opens wide a window of possibilities like the mouth of a colon. Girl, you can spell beauty however you wish to. One strand of your DNA unraveled can stretch from the earth to the moon in the sky. So aim high. Why settle for a simile when we can be metaphors? And I ask myself the same question again and again as I stand behind a mic staring at eyes that stare back at me in expectation. I am a consonant, wishing to be as loud as a vowel. But words often hurt my tongue, sounds I can't swallow or pronounce. And my heart seems to always be subtext lost in translation in between the brackets of my ribs. So much to say, so much to be that I forget to breathe. And that's when I remind myself, as I remind you too, that the universe is a love poem spoken by God in which we all are the punchline. And I want to freestyle like him. Find what matters, even in nothing. Find my rhythm, even in silence. Find the courage to weave meaning in bold colors, even if no one's watching. Expecting nothing in return, stitch my words with love and scatter them abroad. Like thousands of sunsets and sunrises that came and went, unseen yet beautifully, joyfully, loudly they sing praises to their maker in perfect harmony and rhyme, without regard to time or audience. Thank you very much.